Halloween is just around the corner, but you know what's even spookier than ghosts and ghouls and witches? How much insight and practical advice is coming your way from today's speakers who have put a ton into their upcoming presentations. This is PPC Zone, October 2024, Perfect PPC Pairings. I'm your host, Jyll Saskin Gales. I use the pronoun she and her. I'm a Google Ads coach, ex-Googler, and the founder of Inside Google Ads. I created PPC Zone in 2022 to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. Whether you're tuning in live, watching the replay on YouTube or LinkedIn, or listening in your podcast app, here's what you can expect. 3 speakers will each share their expertise in a 7-minute presentation each. Then we'll answer your questions in a live panel and wrap it all up in under 45 minutes. PPC Zone is exclusively sponsored by Optmyzr, one of the leading automation PPC management suites to help you run your Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and paid social ads. Thanks to Optmyzr, I can continue to bring you this live global event for free each month so we can continue to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. If you haven't checked out Optmyzr's latest study on Performance Max, please open a new tab right now and type in optmyzr.com/blog. That's Optmyzr, OPTMYZR.com/blog. You'll thank me later. First up in the zone is a PPC and SEO consultant based in Montreal. She has been working in digital marketing for 12 years and founded her own consultancy, Berceau, in 2021 to empower SaaS and e-commerce brands to increase sales through holistic search engine marketing. Keeping with that theme, she's here to tell us whether SEO and PPC are the perfect pair. Please welcome Sonia Beroud.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Jyll, for the introduction. So we'll be talking about SEO and PPC and how you can use your organic search data to leverage better insights to improve your PPC campaigns. Just as a side note, I'll be focusing mainly on paid search. It doesn't mean that there's no synergy between SEO and paid social or other types of paid campaigns, but I'll be really focusing on paid search. Just as a quick introduction, I think Jyll did a great job introducing me, so I won't spend too much time. But I just wanted to point out that throughout my career, I realized that there was really a missed opportunity for a lot of businesses because they were not leveraging organic search and paid search data together and try to empower each channel with the other one. And so that's why I feel strongly about this, and I decided to share this with you today. So first things first, what we as marketers see in terms of paid and organic search are 2 separate channels. Why is this? Because even if there's a common ground and foundation around analytics, targeting, copywriting, the skill sets that are required for doing SEO and for running paid search campaigns are different. So when you think about SEO, you think about technical optimization, digital PR, content optimization. And when you think about paid search, you think about conversion tracking, bid and budget management, ad creation and optimization. So the skill sets are quite different. And this is why we see paid and organic search as separate channels. But as a user, there's only one SERP. So even if consumers are getting more knowledgeable about paid and organic search and they make the difference between ads and organic listings, there's still one SERP to show to the users. And that's why, in my opinion, organic and paid search should always be strategized and executed together, or at least be thought as a whole. And so how can we improve this? So there are 3 main categories where we can take action to improve how we use SEO and PPC together. So data analytics, targeting, and creatives. And I'll be providing one example for each of those categories. So first thing first, data and analytics, because usually our decision-making process starts with data. So we want to analyze data holistically, and there are multiple ways to do it. One that I really like is a report that you can find inside Google Ads, no pun intended, and it's the paid and organic search report. So basically, you need to have Google Search Console connected to your Google Ads account to have access to this report, but it will be showing you the data in 3 different situations. Situation 1, only your Google ad is showing, so your search ad is showing in the SERP. Situation 2, only your organic listing is showing up in the SERP. And then situation 3, both of them are showing. And then you'll get access to the impression, the clicks on each listing for those 3 situations. Why is it very valuable information and very important? Because we all had debates based on opinions whether we should bid on keywords if we're already ranking for those queries organically or not. And those debates are always revolving around opinions, not data. This report is getting you the data you need to support your decision-making process, but also to support it through 2 stakeholders. So you can basically see how many clicks you're getting when both the ad and the organic listing are showing. And so is our CTR better if we show both? Does having the ad on top of the organic listing help, or does it do nothing at all? And then there's no point bidding on those keywords because we will be just wasting money. Of course, always use the organic average position as an indicator as well, because it won't be the same result and conclusion if you're ranking organically on page 3 or on page 1 on the first position. So next insight would be about the campaign targeting. And so basically, if there's a way for you to expand your keyword targeting in your paid search campaigns, using the data that you have in GA4 in the landing page report. So why is this important? So when we start a paid search campaign, usually we tend to go after bottom of the funnel keyword, which makes sense. We want to drive business results, but at some point we'll hit a growth ceiling, and then we wonder, should we target informational keywords as well, or are we going to just be wasting money and drive no leads, no conversions, no sales? And so this landing page report, if you just filter the landing pages for only showing the blog posts and the organic traffic and leads that are coming from those blog posts, you can identify the landing pages that are actually driving leads and business results based on informational queries, and take it from there. Guess what keywords you should be targeting, the keyword that are matching those landing pages, to start to expand your targeting to informational keywords that actually drive business results. And then last but not least, creatives. Give users what they want. So that's the basic of SEO. Basically, Google is always going to push organically the results that the users want to see, because that's their job, to have a good user experience and to provide users what they want. As PPCers, we tend for our creative strategy to look at what ads the competitors are running, what lead magnets they have, what landing pages they're using to run their campaigns. But we tend to forget the SERP and the organic listings are already providing that information, and sometimes it's more accurate because Google knows better than us what users want. So there's an example here. So let's say you wanted to target the query marketing attribution software, then you can see here one of the organic listing is a competitor roundup. So that's good information for us. Should we maybe test landing pages that are competitor roundups and are not just presenting our software? Should we, on our landing page, include a comparison table between different competitors? So that's valuable information for us to provide users what they want. Again, you have people also ask section as well that can give you better insights on what people are expecting, what they're asking about. You can add that as an FAQ on your landing page. You can also use, outside of the SERPs, SEO tools like Surfer SEO. So Surfer SEO is a tool that will provide you with topics that people expect when they type in a specific search query. So this can give you insight that you can use, and we're talking about paid search here, but that's very valuable if you think about it for paid social as well. You can use that to create scripts, to find hooks for your video ads. So all in all, this should allow you to create better ads with higher CTRs, create better landing pages with higher conversion rates, also have a better landing page experience, which will allow you to improve your metrics inside Google Ads, so the quality score, but also create DSA campaigns that are better targeting the accurate and the appropriate and relevant queries for your page, because it has been optimized so that Google can better understand it. So those were my key tips for leveraging organic search data for your paid search campaign. Thanks for listening to my talk. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you ever want to reach out to me, connect with me, feel free to do it. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on X, so you can find me easily and we can start a conversation. Looking forward to your questions in the panel.
Thank you so much to Sonia for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the zone. As she mentioned, if you'd like to connect with Sonia Beroud, you can find her on LinkedIn. And if you have a question for Sonia, go ahead and type it into the chat if you're watching live on YouTube or LinkedIn right now, because we'll get to your questions during the upcoming live panel. PPC Zone is exclusively sponsored by Optmyzr, one of the leading automation PPC management suites to help you run your Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and paid social ads. Thanks to Optmyzr, I can continue to bring you this live global event for free every month, so we can continue to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. Optmyzr evangelist Nava Hawkins has been dropping a series of global studies so that advertisers like us can know which bid strategy to use, whether ad strength matters, and what the deal really is with those Google Ads recommendations. You can check it all out now for free at optmyzr.com/blog. That's Optmyzr, optmyzr.com/blog. Next up in the zone, this speaker comes from a background in travel and hospitality and was recently named a Synopsys Rising Star in Marketing. She's based in New York, and she's about to share her perspective on a different perfect pair: audiences and creative. Please welcome Brooke Abbott.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to going through what I believe is our new secret weapon, audiences and creative. So my goal today is to make sure that I communicate how important an audience-based strategy is and how important we can execute that through creative. It's going to be the most powerful tool that we have as search continues to change. So how I plan to do that is I want to remind us all that our customers are human beings. The search landscape is trending towards the signals that are more powerful than keywords alone. And I have some results that are going to show how this can help your business. So audiences are human beings. Customers are human beings. And although we really like to think we are logical, rational, and take time to make decisions, more often than not, 95% of the time, we're actually making them based on instinct. And so keeping that in mind is really important when you're creating your ads that are meant to stir those behavioral triggers and really call attention to those underlying instincts. Next is really the state of search. There's no avoiding the conversation around broad match and PMAX, and those are deeply reliant on audience signals. In Google's own definition of broad match, it highlights the fact that your creative, your landing page, and the signals of those who are searching for your product are really important in finding and continuing the success of those keywords. And PMAX, it's really founded on our conversion and goals, but the base is only amplified by strong creative and audience signals. And so in order to strengthen our PMAX performance, we really need to think about the interplay between creative and the audiences that we provide to it. So I want you to consider this scenario. Say you wake up, you log into your Google UI, and you see that all the keywords are no longer active. You can't turn them on, you can't use them. So what is left? What do you have to work with? And it's no surprise, but my answer is our audiences and our creative. When keywords are no longer our signals for intent, creative is going to be the future of our performance optimization. So our audiences are who is most important to us, and our creative should be what encourages action, tapping into both those instinctual beliefs as well as the logical components. And by doing this, creative has the power to influence your target customers. And with that comes two benefits: increasing your efficiencies, as well as training the algorithm to replicate those results. With Google, data in is data out. And so the creative we feed, it will ultimately guide the algorithm to seek out and target similar users. So here's how you can do that. Step one, create customer personas. It's really important to identify what are their beliefs, what are their values, what are the things that resonates with them deeply that taps into that 95% of instinct. My agency, we use this data profile to really understand the values, drivers, and even what comes down to their routine. And this is really the foundation that you will use. Second is developing a creative hypothesis. This is really where you're going to start to identify what language works to capture those audiences' attention and really drive performance in a way that optimizes your campaigns best. And one of the ways you can do this is really tapping into what Google already has. There's some great audience insights. I've used it personally for identifying which creative we should create new variations of, what's working, and start to incorporate those into ad variation tests or A/B tests as a whole across our strategies. And finally, it's really important to set clear goals for this approach. We had a client who really wanted to increase conversions from a specific customer persona. That was empty nesters who had disposable income and were looking to travel spontaneously. And so what we did was we created these value-based creatives and launched those alongside our evergreen ads. And typically, we saw lower efficiencies from these types of audiences. And so in turn, Google was optimizing away from those. So our goal was threefold: increase volume, increase efficiencies, and make the client happy. And what we can see is that the results speak for themselves. We saw a 30% increase in our impressions. We saw an improvement in both our click-through rate and our conversion rate. So this really speaks to, the goals that we set up were clear, defined, and measurable. And so my ask to you is to best prepare for your keywordless world, is to prioritize an audience-focused strategy, using creative testing, and really get ingrained in the messaging that you have in your campaigns. So to summarize, step one, know your audience. Step two, develop engaging creative. And step three is develop clear, concise, and measurable goals. And all of this should set you on a path to feel confident when keywords phase out. And thank you so much. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. Excited to connect.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the Zone. And if you'd like to connect with Brooke Abbott, you can find her on LinkedIn. And if you have a question for Brooke, be sure to type it into the chat now if you're watching this live on YouTube or LinkedIn, and we'll make sure to get to your questions during the upcoming live panel. If you're just tuning in, PPC Zone is exclusively sponsored by Optmyzr, one of the leading automation PPC management suites to help you run your Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and paid social ads. Thanks to Optmyzr, I can continue to bring you this live global event for free each month so we can continue to elevate new perspectives in our industry. If you're a PPC practitioner like us, then you crave data and insights to fuel your strategies. check out the Optmyzr blog for actionable insights gleaned from over 10,000 Google Ads accounts about all the key Google Ads topics. Go to optmyzr.com/blog. That's Optmyzr, OPTMYZR.com/blog. Our final speaker in the zone today is a B2B growth specialist and a fellow ex-Googler. She's based in Dublin and now runs a consulting firm that creates elite sales strategies for women-led B2B companies. We're about to hear her explain how marketing and sales can be yet another perfect pair in your business's growth. Please welcome Solange Abraham.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Jyll. I do indeed specialize in building B2B growth plans that save you time and make you money. I'm an ex-Googler, ex-Salesforce, and I'm an anxious little overachiever, but I'm coming at you today to talk about the lead to sales journey. Now, what I could tell you, right, is to spend thousands on a new CRM, building an inbound lead flow and connecting that back to Google Ads. But I'm not going to do that. Because the truth is, most businesses don't actually need that setup. And I know we have that golden question of, but what about the attribution? But how do I then calculate my cost per lead? And to that I say, brace yourselves. It's really not that serious, okay? So throughout my career, I've seen a lot of lead generation cases where companies lost out on money because of what I call data paralysis. And this is where we're so focused on getting the exact numbers that it's actually preventing us from moving forward. And I do not want that to happen to you. So by the end of these 6 minutes, you're going to have a clear idea of what it looks like to optimize your lead gen strategy in Google Ads without making it a whole technical and financial to do. And that brings me to the first and most important question that you're going to answer today. And it's not on the slides, so pay attention. Do you fully understand your prospect's journey, right? Your prospect is going to be browsing websites, looking up reviews on YouTube and looking up videos. And if you're a B2B advertiser, likely your prospect isn't making the decision to purchase on their own, right? They're part of a team. And so the second question then becomes, how do I use Google Ads to help my prospect build a case for my product or service? How do I make sure that I have a champion in that room, right? And coincidentally, a lot of those steps that I just talked about actually take place on the ads platform: video, discovery, display, search, or in other words, awareness, consideration, and action. But how do you identify those channels and touch points? How do you attribute the right conversion rates? And how do you clarify the sales cycle? And most importantly, why are all of these things important? I'm going to show you in an example right here. Now, if you're looking at this slide and you're thinking this looks too freaking technical, bear with me, okay? We're going to go through this step by step. So what we're looking at is a very basic lead to sales journey here, okay? And at the top, we're looking at leads. Now, these could be, for example, engaged website visitors that are looking at more than one page and spent more than just 10 seconds on your website. In this example, this business is generating 4,000 of those leads every single month, all right? The next step would be a marketing qualified lead. These are leads that, in addition to browsing the website, have downloaded a white paper. So now we know a little bit more about them. We have a little bit of information. And what we're seeing here is a 5% conversion rate over 2 days. So in 2 days, 5% of those 4,000 leads become a marketing qualified lead. Okay, now that we know a little bit about who they are and what they want and that they're interested in what we have to offer, we move them over to becoming sales qualified leads. Now, these are leads that have had meaningful conversations with your sales team. And here we see that over a period of 7 days, 50% of those white paper downloads turn into sales qualified leads. And the end of the journey, the holy grail, is the closed deal. Okay, so in this example, we're seeing 25 deals per month close, which is a 25% conversion rate from those sales qualified leads. Now, how do you use this information, and what the heck does this have to do with Google Ads in the first place? Okay. As a business leader, when you look at this information, I want you to start asking questions. why is our conversion rate from lead to marketing qualified lead significantly lower than the rest of the funnel? What would it mean for the bottom line, right? The amount of closed deals, if we were to double that conversion rate in the beginning from lead to marketing qualified lead. And so this is how you're going to start looking at where to optimize your lead gen process. Okay. More than that, what's really important is to attach values here. Okay. And this is how we're actually going to tie it back to Google Ads. So to give you an example here, right? We're looking at a closed deal value of $3,200 in this particular example, right? If we then look at our conversion rate of 25% from a meaningful sales conversation to someone actually signing that contract, we can then determine by multiplying the deal value by our conversion rate that that lead is actually worth $800. Why is this important? Because we do this all the way to the front of that journey, right? And now we know that that first initial lead is worth $20. How do we translate this to Google Ads? We now know that our cost per lead cannot exceed $20 because down the line, that does not make financial sense. Ideally, it would be less than $20 because we don't want to continue to break even. We actually want to profit. And so this is how I want you to use this information to fuel your lead generation strategy. I want you to think about, how can I get a better, higher quality audience of website visitors, of engaged website visitors to my website? And how can I use the appropriate Google campaign to help me to do that, right? So now we're thinking about an awareness campaign, maybe a consideration campaign, right? How do I then make sure, if I see a gap in my marketing qualified leads, that I get more downloads? Because I need data, I need leads from my team to follow up on. Okay, what campaign do I use and what values do I attribute to that campaign to make sure that we get more of those high quality downloads so that I can have meaningful sales conversations and eventually close the deal? The last thing I want to touch on here is that that closed deal value is super important. Now, if you are a B2B advertiser, the chance is slim that it's a one-off purchase, okay? So here, I really want you to think about the customer lifetime value, because if you're signing a contract in which your client pays you $3,200 per month for 12 months, that significantly increases your closed deal value, which means you get more space at the beginning of that journey, right? Because your value per lead goes up. So you have more space to bid aggressively in the competition, in the auction, and make sure that you get more high quality leads into that funnel. Now, again, your business could look vastly different from this, right? But I strongly urge you to look at this model, not just for your Google Ads, but for your entire business, to figure out where the leaks in your funnel are, okay? Where can you optimize conversion rates? Where do I need more people to come into the funnel? How can I use this information to enable my sales teams and close more deals at the end of the funnel? Super important. So key takeaways here, right? Understanding your prospect's journey is crucial, because if we don't understand where they are, we can't meet them where they are, right? So we want to meet them at every stage of the journey. Furthermore, we want to visualize that funnel so that we can link it to the correct Google campaign types, the right messaging, right? The right ad formats. And we want to make sure that we link that to actual values. I want to look at the timeline. I want to look at my conversion rate, and I want to look at the volume of leads at each step of that funnel. You want to be getting comfortable with value-based bidding through the customer lifetime value, okay? The clearer we get on what the actual value of your closed deals are, the more accurate we get in our cost per lead and the more aggressive we can bid in that auction, okay? And the last one, which is super, super important, do not let perfect be the enemy of good. Because the pushback I get here is, oh, but we don't have the exact numbers. All I have are estimates. Use the freaking estimates, okay? Because using some type of data is way better than bidding blindly, okay? Do not get stuck in the data paralysis that I told you about. So that's me. That's all we have for today. My DMs are always open. I eat, leaf, and breathe this stuff. So if you ever want to chat, please do reach out, and I look forward to your questions in the Q&A.
Thank you so much to Solange for sharing her unique perspective and insights with us in the zone. If you'd like to connect with Solange Abraham, the link to her LinkedIn is right there. And if you have a question for Solange, feel free to type it into the chat right now if you're watching this live on YouTube or LinkedIn, as we're about to get started with our live panel. Let's bring all of our speakers back on screen now. This is PPC Zone, October 2024, Perfect PPC Pairings. Say that 3 times fast. I'm your host, Jyll Saskin Gales. I'm a Google Ads coach, ex-Googler, and the founder of Inside Google Ads. I created this event to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. I'm here with Sonia Beroud, PPC and SEO consultant, who just spoke about how to pair PPC and SEO. I'm here with Brooke Abbott, Director of Paid Search and Performance Media at Beebe, Clark & Myler, who just spoke about how to pair audiences and creative. And I'm here with Solange Abraham, founder of House by Solange, who just spoke about how to pair marketing and sales. Thank you once again to our exclusive sponsor, Optmyzr, one of the leading automation PPC management suites to help you run your Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and paid social ads. Thanks to Optmyzr, I can continue to bring you PPC Zone for free every month so we can continue to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. And again, if you're watching us live right now on YouTube or on LinkedIn, please feel free to type in a question so I can pose it to our panel. While we're waiting for that, I did want to ask about something that came up in Brooke's presentation that I would love to hear everyone's perspective on. And something Brooke spoke about was if keywords went away or with keywords going away. And I know this is a really hot topic in the industry. So we heard a bit about Brooke's perspective. I will come back to Brooke, but I'd love to start first with Solange and then Sonia before coming to Brooke. Do you think keywords are still going to be here in 2026? Or what do you think is happening with keywords in Google Ads? Let's start with Solange.
Jyll, I first just want to say I loved when Brooke posed that question because I think it's so important. I don't think the right question is, will keywords disappear? I think the right question is, what's the power of keywords going to be in 2026? I think we're seeing a lot of changes in how we're targeting people, creative becoming more important. And we're seeing a lot, even in the presentations we've seen today, of how do you kind of fill those gaps along the process? So I think the time where keywords are the most important, we're already past that, in my opinion, with more automation and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it matters whether they'll be here or not. I think what matters is, are they most effective and most important to your strategy? And as we learned from Brooke, the answer is probably no.
Probably no. Do you agree with that, Sonia, or do you have a different perspective on what's happening with keywords now and in the future?
Yeah, I have a similar perspective in the sense that I think keywords will still matter, but not as much as they used to. And I think, like Solange was saying, it's something that is already happening. It has happened. So we have to get ready for it because it's just going to, it's the direction that this is taking. And I think people running paid social campaigns saw it coming even before we did, because creatives matter more than audiences at that point, and it's been years since this change happened. So I think people running ads on Meta were telling, look, it's coming, you have to get ready for it, and no one wanted really to believe it, because if we don't believe in keyword, then what is going to be the future of search, right? This is what we were relying on all the time. So yeah, I think it's going to happen, that keywords are going to matter less. I don't think they're going to disappear 100% though. But I think, yeah, there will be other factors that will be more important than keywords, definitely.
Anything you'd like to add, Brooke?
No, I completely agree with both of your takes on the argument. I think the nature of keywords and the utilization of keywords has already transformed. And I think it's just going to continue to take shape in a way that's like targeting intent completely differently than what we've done in the past. I think all the work that we've done to curate, find what keywords work is still important, but I think the way in which we utilize them is completely transforming right now. And in terms of the creative side, that's exactly where my perspective is coming from. We do a lot of social testing where it's all about the volume of creatives and how are you speaking? How are you putting into market things that are resonating, that aren't stale? And so all of this is just connecting together to provide the right type of data and bring that to your campaigns.
And it's really changing the job of a Google Ads practitioner. Something Sonia mentioned was how, in social ads and meta ads, they've known this for years. Audience targeting for them has gotten broader and broader. And now I would say to be an effective meta ads practitioner, those creative strategy skills are super important. Whereas on the Google Ads side, that hasn't really been something that's been so terribly important. And so I'm curious whether it's creative skills or something else, what's something that you're seeing in our industry that you think aspiring or junior Google Ads practitioners should be working on outside the Google Ads platform or outside of the typical PPC skills that's going to help them be effective at their jobs in the future? Maybe I'll come to Sonia first, if that's all right.
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, one skill that is super important in my opinion is conversion tracking. So all that we call technical marketing, because paid channels rely more and more on their algorithm. Before, any tweak you would make would have a big impact. Today, it's the data and the data quality that you're passing on to the platform that makes a huge difference. So I think, of course, you can rely on other experts to do that for you. But I think if you have a good understanding of how to execute it, for sure you have an edge over someone who doesn't. So that's one thing. The other one would be creative strategy, for sure, because we will be relying more and more on creatives, and that will have a huge impact as well. And the last one would be data and analytics. It has always been very important, but I think it's going to be increasingly important in the future.
So adding those conversion tracking and implementation skills, adding the creative strategy skills, and continuing to have those data and analytics skills. Anything you'd like to add, Brooke?
Yeah, I would say in the creative side, I think it's really important to know your basics, important to know, how ads are going to appear, where they appear, how could it look? I know with YouTube, there's that dead space that we have to be mindful of, but also just the quality. I think that's where we're seeing a lot of AI integration in improving assets that really is useful for clients that may not have a lot of budget. And so, I think it's just getting curious about what are the tools that we have and in what way do we need to inform or prepare for how creative is used.
Absolutely. Anything to add, Solange?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a data girly by heart, okay? And I think that when we look at growth, our past informs our future. And I think that, with all the changes that we're seeing in the landscape, if you're coming into this field, something that's going to really set you aside from the rest is your ability to ask the right questions, right? The times of just setting up the campaign and your job being done, they're way behind us. You have to understand your customer's business. You have to understand how to translate their internal data to something that makes sense in the Google Ads world, right? And that's something that I can talk about all day, every day. And to give an example, one of my clients, had a really hard time doing this because she was in data paralysis, really. She's like, we don't have all the answers. I said, just give me an estimate. And within a month, we were able to increase her bottom line revenue by 10% just by asking the questions, just by looking around at where we should optimize in that funnel. And the only way to do that is if you understand how to look at those numbers and interpret those numbers and then turn them into a story, because numbers are boring, right? So you have to turn it into something that people, can connect with. And I think that's something that's really going to set you aside in the future.
Definitely. And a common theme we're
Yeah, I
talking
would just
about
hop
is
in
that.
on that. I think.
Go ahead, Brooke.
Oh, I was just going to say, I really resonate with the idea of storytelling. I think that's one of the things that I see set people on a path to success in this industry is really identifying, what is making meaning to the business and really distinctively telling the story. You can really set yourself apart, as Solange mentioned.
Exactly. Taking the numbers and the raw data and turning it into something people actually hear. Because I can assure you, at bedtime, my 6-year-old would not want to hear me read a list of numbers, but she absolutely would love to hear me tell her a story. And so this is one of the many skills that to be an effective PPC practitioner going forward, you need to do a lot more things, as you all give an example of here. That job description has really grown. And something else a few of your talks highlighted as well is that you can't just focus on Google Ads anymore. Google Ads interacts with SEO, and it interacts with other departments. And so picking up off of Solange's talk about how marketing and sales really do need to work much more closely together. In your work as, consultants who are often advising businesses, advising brands, are there other departments beyond marketing that you're starting to speak to more and more with your clients? Or do you still find that as an agency or a consultant, you're mostly speaking with marketers?
It's
Whoever
really
would-
interesting because I like to invite people to the table because I want that complete picture. So I like to speak to finance because finance is speaking to marketing and sending emails about why are we spending this much money? And I want to show them, I want to tell them the story of why the data makes sense, right? I do want to speak to sales because between sales and marketing, there's always like this age-old fight war between, but we gave you the leads, but they're not good leads. But what makes a good lead? And so just to have everyone at the table, everyone on the same page, it just moves things along way, way smoother. Yeah.
Sonia, did you want to add something?
No, I 100% agree. For me, it's the same, sales and finance, mostly for exactly the reason you mentioned. So yeah, I 100% agree. And I think even when we're talking about nerdy Google Ads optimizations, at some point you have to understand what you're optimizing towards. Because otherwise, if you don't speak to the client and you just assume, oh, okay, maybe they want the lowest cost per lead, but maybe that's not what they want. So you have to first understand what do they want, what is a success to them, so you can optimize toward that, because otherwise it's going to be a failure.
Anything to add, Brooke?
I would just echo the comments that have been made before. I think one of the most difficult positions to be in as a paid search, expert is coming in thinking you're doing a great job and delivering those results with confidence. And then the client says, oh, but we need to go after this type of customer, or this is actually our end goal. And so you're completely set aside on you're so happy. And then to hear, there was actually this underlying goal. That's where those conversations really need to start in terms of setting up your strategy and making sure that the pathway is towards those, C-suite level goals.
And it's interesting. I've even seen this happen when it's just like a solopreneur. One of my Google Ads coaching clients, I sent her a message over the summer and I was like, hey, our ROAS has really gone down. Do you want to talk about it? And this and that and the other. And she said, Jyll, I just had my biggest sales month ever. Like, I'm okay. I'm happy. I'm good. So I thought, oh, okay, great. And then, fast forward a couple of weeks and, I checked in the account. Everything's looking great. ROAS is higher than it's ever been. And she's like, Jyll, I'm freaking out. Things are going terribly in Google Ads. I was like, what do you mean? It's the highest ROAS we've ever had. And she said, but my sales are down, 40% versus the same time last year. And it's like, so my bias has always been on that efficiency, the target ROAS, because that's literally the goal of the campaign. But for her as the business owner who Google Ads is just one piece of an overall puzzle, she's just looking at her top line revenue and how it compares year over year. So it was a good learning for both of us that are like, why don't we just both pay attention to both of these things? Because there's trade-offs, obviously, but both matter when we're trying to tell the story of what's happening in the business. Well, thank you so much to Brooke and Sonia and Solange and you and Optmyzr for joining us today. Our next event is going to be on November 13th, 2024 at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern. And for our friends in Australia, that's actually going to be in the morning on November 14th. The theme is the new foundation for PPC success, and we're going to have 2 US-based speakers as well as an Aussie. We look forward to seeing you there on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram in November. To learn more about ppc.zone and our speakers, or to apply to speak at an upcoming event, visit ppc.zone. I'm your host, Jyll Saskin Gales. You can follow me on LinkedIn to stay up to date on future events. And thank you one more time to Optmyzr, our exclusive sponsor, for supporting our mission to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. I look forward to seeing you next time in the zone.